from an intellectual perspective, it is nearly impossible to deny the existence of qadr. If you believe in Allah, if you believe in God of any kind, and He has the attributes of being all-powerful, all-knowing, all-seeing, then it's inevitable, right? That a God that is omnipotent would not have anything that would be outside of His knowledge, would not have anything that would be outside of His power or His will, right? That God would encompass everything within their knowledge, power, and will. So from that perspective, it's inevitable. But even like if you're a materialist, and by materialist I don't mean like you love money and you're like greedy. Materialists from like a philosophical perspective, that you say that the only thing that exists is the material world, things that we can observe either directly or indirectly through the five senses, right? Touch, smell, feel, whatever, right? This is basically the perspective of atheists. Most atheists are avid materialists. Even from that perspective, determinism is hard to avoid, if not impossible, right? If you take the logical conclusion of that worldview of materialism, right? If you look around you, every single thing and process is governed by some type of equation. Whether we understand that equation or not is beyond the point, right? But if it didn't exist, then science wouldn't exist either. Because what science basically does is we do an experiment, we try to control the variables, and the idea behind science is that if we control all the variables and do the exact same thing, we will get the exact same result, right? So 1 + 1 = 2. No matter how many times you plug it into the calculator, it's going to be 2. And that's true for chemistry, that's true for biology, that's true for physics, that's true for all the fields of science. This is a fundamental assumption of science, that these equations will work the same way every single time. And so if you're going to say that the human being and the human behavior is nothing more than the process of stuff that's happening up here in the brain, right? These biochemical reactions that are happening in our head, then those are all just their own separate equations that can all be manipulated and controlled, and they all are predictable, right? And if that's the case, and everything else is governed by that, then essentially what you're saying is that everything in existence is just part of one giant equation. So if you were to take this whole universe and put it in a giant universe simulator, and this is where simulation theory kind of comes in, right? People like Elon Musk and Neil deGrasse Tyson are like, yeah, this is just a computer simulation, where you could just play this out and it would play out the same way every single time. Now, keep in mind, I'm not making this a straw man position. Not every atheist believes this, obviously, but it is a logical conclusion of materialism. There actually is a very large population of deterministic atheists, right, who believe that everything is predetermined, and it's actually growing in number, right, just for this exact reason that I mentioned. So it's actually not that hard to conclude that things would have been predetermined. So the problem really comes in when you start throwing free will into the equation, right? Because pure determinism is a hard mentality to uplift, especially considering that we have an inherent need for justice and accountability and things like that, right? If everything is determined, then really there is no justice, there is no accountability, because everything is forced, right? Like if someone steals from you and you're like, dude, why are you stealing from me, right? Or like, that's not right, you shouldn't do that. It's like, well, this is what I was meant to do, right? So there's no accountability. It's the same as like taking a lion to court for eating a gazelle. It's like, dude, that is the nature of the lion. That is literally what it was made to do. It has no say in the matter. It just does it, right? You can't turn a lion into a vegan. It's just impossible. So with pure determinism, that's the issue that you fall into, right? Is that you cannot uphold an ideology of justice. And there is no society on the earth that would say that they should just stop pursuing justice, right? On the other hand, with pure free will is a very hard mentality to support if you're a pure materialist, right? Because again, like we said, biology is just a set of equations. So if you want to support the position of like, yeah, we're purely free, then you have to then support the idea of a higher consciousness that is immaterial and transcends the material, right? That can actually decide, irrespective of the biology of the brain, what is right and what is wrong, what they can do and what they cannot do. But then if you believe in a higher conscious that transcends the material body and governs over it, then you're really not that far off from believing in a higher consciousness that transcends the material universe and governs over it, which is the belief in God. And then if there's a God, there must be determinism. So to have a purely deterministic mindset or a purely free will mindset, they're actually very difficult to believe in. So if you like that video, I'm going to be posting more clips like it over here. Or if you want to watch the full thing, check out this video over here. So thank you guys for watching. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.